here we are at Basford Hurst Cottage, and I am with Leanne, a model and owner of the studio.
It's me.
So could you please tell us a bit about yourself, Leanne?
Oh God, where do I start?
Start at the beginning, we'll talk about your modelling.
Yeah. So I got into the industry about 8 years ago. I wasn't very confident as a person growing up through school. And one day a friend of mine said, "Oh, come to my studio and I'll take some photos of you." You know, I've always been told I should model because of my height. And it was the worst thing I ever did in my life. I hated every minute of it. And I said to him, "I am never getting in front of a camera ever again." Somehow he twisted my arm and I ended up back in that studio a couple of weeks later. And the photos were still terrible, but not quite as bad as maybe the first time. And there was a little something inside of me that kind of just went, I think I might want to do this again. So we did, and we went on location, and then I met a couple of other photographers, and I feel like I was really lucky very early on to work with some very talented photographers who, if you pardon the pun, put me in a completely different light that I never really knew that I could look like that. And I just got the bug, and it went from there. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you've had an amazing career so far. So a bit of name dropping. Who are some of the big brands you've worked for, the big projects you've worked for? What have you done that someone could say, wow, that's amazing?
Oh gosh. Well, I suppose I should at this point say that modelling has always been a sideline thing for me. So although it's been a big part of my life, my actual career at the time was I was a veterinary nurse for a very long time, so for 10 years. So that was kind of what paid the bills. Modelling was always along the side of that and just something I enjoyed, but also if it brought me a bit of money and a bit of fun and, it's often then happy days. So I can't say I've ever worked for any major brands or anything like that, but I have been lucky enough so one of my best experiences was I went out to Thailand for 2 weeks with a photographer and a couple of his friends, and we went sailing around on a yacht in Thailand and took some of the most incredible photos. So that's probably one of my favourite experiences as a model.
Okay, so how would somebody get into modelling? Suppose you're a young girl or a young man watching this video. How would you recommend they start? Where do they even begin?
Oh, gosh. I suppose there are two very different sides to modelling as far as I'm concerned. So there's very much the commercial e-commerce route, where I guess you get signed onto an agency and then they put you into sort of brands, magazines, etc., etc. And the other world, which is a world that I'm very familiar with, is the freelance world. So the freelance world, I guess I could probably talk a bit more about than the sort of more commercial side of it, because that's not something I've had as much experience with. But as a self-employed freelance model, I guess there are a few routes. So the main platform that I guess I tend to use as a model is Purpleport, and there are a few others. So there's like Model Folio, there is Model Mayhem, and I'm sure there was a new one recently called Model Society. And they are big platforms of lots of models, photographers, studios, makeup artists, hairstylists, you name it, they're all on there. And a lot of people are genuinely looking to set up shoots, be it fashion, be it sort of anything from lingerie, swimwear, art, nude, and you go from there.
Okay, so if you're a new model or you're advising a new model, how can they keep themselves safe in an industry that's, it's a pretty big industry and it's got lots of grey areas and some dark parts, let's be honest.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people will shy away from this question and be like, oh, there's no dark side, there's no, there absolutely is. And I have not met a model or a photographer, for that matter, because it does work both ways, who has not had a bad experience in this industry. So I think safety is absolutely paramount. And I think the biggest thing that a new model can do is talk to other models and reputable photographers and check references. So a lot of platforms will have referencing systems whereby, if you work with someone, you can leave them a positive or not recommend a reference. But just being mindful that not all references are as they seem. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who will leave a reference, even a positive reference, even if they've not had the best experience. So I would certainly suggest talking to models who have been around a bit longer, maybe they, they've been to quite a few studios, and they just have a they're a bit more worldly wise. So names you might be able to trust.
Okay, so from my own personal experience, one of the safest ways is obviously to shoot at a studio where the studio owner is going to be there. So you happen to be a studio owner. So,
I do.
and we are here at your
Go
studio,
figure.
and it is absolutely fantastic. This is my third visit.
Thank you.
So tell us a bit about the studio here and what you're trying to achieve and what's available for photographers and models if they come here.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right, nail on the head there. Just going back to the last point, I feel like sometimes models will set up shoots in hotel rooms and things, and they will meet people that they have no idea who they are, and that's when things can go very south. So I would absolutely recommend going to a reputable studio, and there are plenty of them out there because the bad ones soon get weeded out. So this is Basford, and it's actually myself and my husband's house. So we have been here about 3 years, and I set it up as a location just over 2 years ago. So I run all sorts of model days, group events, workshops, but I also have other people coming here and running them too. And it's been a really great couple of years. We've got inside areas, outside areas. We're just looking to set up a new studio outside, so we'll be able to have both the location and the studio, so it brings lots of options.
Okay, thank you very much.